Hey guys, Matty Miller with Pursuit Real Estate. I hope y'all are doing well. Today we are talking really quickly. I get this question a lot. People ask me on our rental side and property management if our tenants are required to carry renter's insurance. And the answer is yes. But what most people ask is what they don't know is what does actually renter's insurance cover? And so we're going to go through those four main things that renter's insurance covers, and we'll go in those a little bit of detail here in a second. All right, so the first thing that renter's insurance covers, and mostly used probably for this, personal property coverage. So anytime a tenant moves into a property and they have all their own furniture, clothes, TVs, anything they store on the property is their personal items. Okay, most renters insurance policies come with a $10,000 to $15,000 personal property coverage. Now, if you're in a bigger home and you want, a little bit more coverage in case of a fire, flood, hurricane, anything like that, anything where your personal property could get damaged, you as the tenant, or they as the tenant, could make a coverage on their personal property. Okay, so that's what that's there for. That's probably the most used aspect of renter's insurance. The second one is liability coverage. Well, I say liability coverage is up to $100,000. So liability coverage as a tenant, if you have liability coverage through your renter's insurance policy, what that does cover is obviously any unintentional harm that may be caused, not necessarily to you, but to someone else. So if you do that, and you obviously have health insurance as well, so that's what would cover that. But your liability coverage is you being liable for something else. Now, if you intentionally harm someone, you have a whole nother issue. Liability coverage also would include some pet policies, but that may be an additional coverage as well. So if you, again, damage someone else's property, unwillingly, again, key is unwillingly, you can actually fall back on that with legal fees and things like that. So that is also included. Doesn't get used that often. That's why it's got a lot higher number, because it's pretty tough to do something unintentionally that costs a lot of money, but is possible. Actually, I think one of the examples that was given was, hey, if you poked somebody in the eye with your umbrella on the bus, you could actually use your liability coverage. It was unintentional in a renter's policy to help you fight that. Which seems kind of crazy, but that's what it's there for. And again, disclaimer here, all policies are a little bit different and written different. So when you do sign up for renter's insurance as a tenant, please read through that and see what's covered. So a little bit of a disclaimer there. Another thing that it may cost if someone actually gets hurt on your property, let's say you have a guest come in on your property and they fall down or whatever, and it's not to the fault of the homeowner or anything like that. It's just an accident. It actually has, some policies will actually have a guest medical expense in there, so you could actually claim, hey, Susie fell down the stairs over at my property and unfortunately hurt herself and had to go to the hospital. Well, you can actually claim that on yours and give her, it's typically like $1,000 to $3,000. So it may not cover everything, but at least it is an additional expense that may cover it. One that actually does happen pretty frequently, I would say, is loss of use. So loss of use will be a situation, actually had an example of this actually happen a while back, to where it was a condo complex and the property above the unit that we manage was flooded. So they had a pipe break in between the floors, and our property had a bunch of damage. So our tenant couldn't live there during that time because we had a bunch of water that needed to be extracted. And what that tenant did, and what I told them to do, was you need to contact your renter's insurance. Hopefully you have it. It's required in our leases. However, if that tenant does not have renter's insurance, they're in violation of their lease. So if they choose not to have it, it's not really our problem. Okay, loss of use. Let's talk about that again. We'll circle back to that. But essentially, loss of use sounds exactly like it is. You are losing the ability to use your home to live in. Let's say a fire happens at the property. The homeowner carries homeowner's insurance, which covers the dwelling and the unit damages. But what about the personal property inside? Renter's insurance would cover that. So they would reimburse you for furniture, clothes, etc. Even food. If you lose a bunch of food, freeze, all your stuff you have stored, they would cover that. They would also probably cover your hotel cost for a certain amount of time. depending on how big your policy is. So a lot of them are up to $1,000 and $2,000, which would pay for a month or so somewhere else, or maybe even a little bit less than that. But those are the four main issues that renter's insurance does actually cover. So if you have any questions on that as a landlord or as a tenant, please feel free to let me know. And again, every policy is a little bit different. So if you want to dive into your policy and just kind of look to see what you have service-wise, that'd be a good thing to do. So if you have any questions about that, I know it wasn't a super sexy topic today, but it's something that obviously does come up occasionally, and want everybody to be informed about what kind of coverage they have. So have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.